So, what do y'all guys think so far about what we're trying to do here? I mean, it seemed like it'd be something you all be looking at doing. Would you all prefer the hybrid concept that most are doing? A little bit of feedback.
I like yours better than the other teachers.
All right. Well, my goal is going to be for this class to make it a course to where you can come in if you need to be in class. I want to try to have 9 to 10 seats available for in-class participation. I also record the lecture so that I can post them online, so you can review it after class. You can also have the option to watch remotely if you need to. Okay. So what I'm going to do today, this is just a little bit of a pilot for Chapter 1 for MacroEcon. Okay. You guys are going to be my in-class test students, so feedback is going to be great. I'm going to try to give as much explanation as possible so that if you're not in class but watching online, it'll be just like being in class. Okay. All right. So we're going to start by talking in Chapter 1. And this is where we'll pick up. This is going to be just a light overview, so nothing too big. Yes.
I just have a quick question. So when you do post your lectures, are you going to do the Canvas?
Yeah, so it will be, everything will end up being in Canvas. I just wanted to really get everything, ironed out and real smooth before I opened up Canvas. Because a lot of times the first thing people want to do when Canvas is open is see what the assignments are. Try to go through and start completing assignments. Well, the assignments are going to be largely dependent on how we structure class. Just like we have the questions that we're going to do. That's going to largely be dependent on if we do the online and the in-class at the same time. The discussion questions will be the same regardless, but there's a couple things I want to make sure we got ironed out before I start opening things up on Canvas. All right? So, a few things that we're going to cover in Chapter 1 in MacroEcon are going to be things like resources. We're going to talk about scarcity. We're going to talk about the circle flow model. By the end of Chapter 1, these are going to be the major concepts that I want you to understand. This might be a better microphone.
Okay. I have an AirPod in. Hopefully it'll pick it up as a mic so y'all can hear me a little bit better on the video. Okay. Say that again. Yep. Resources, scarcity, and circular flow. And I'll also publish these online at some point too, the PowerPoints, just so you have them. So in economics, the very basics of economics, we want to identify that economics identifies that there's a problem, okay? There's a problem in the reason why we study econ, okay? Here's a picture of me when I went to Las Vegas a couple years ago. And while I was in Las Vegas, I went to this place called Dream Car Racing. And with Dream Car Racing, you can literally pull up to this racetrack. It's a NASCAR racetrack, and within it, there's a couple little small inner loops. And you can pick from a bunch of different cars, and you can drive them around the track. So I picked this Maserati here, and I also picked this Audi R8 Plus right behind it. This was actually my favorite car. I drove it up to 172 miles an hour on the straightaway. It was super cool. Yeah. So, but this kind of helped me identify that problem that economics tells us about. And it's that there's unlimited wants and desires, okay? Anybody like to own one of these Maseratis or this Audi R8 Plus if they could? Yeah, me too. If I could, I'd buy both of them, right? But I don't have both of them. Any guesses as to why? Yeah, too expensive. I mean, even if I had the money, would it be smart to just go buy 2 cars with it? Okay. So the economic problem is that there are unlimited wants and desires. I want or desire both of these cars, but I have limited resources. So the economic problem states that there are unlimited wants and desires, but there are limited resources. And that applies to anybody, anywhere, any day. Unlimited wants and desires, but limited resources. All right. I'd love to have the new iPhone 12 when it comes out, but if they decide to charge $5,000, which isn't very far fetched with the way phone prices are going, then I might have to make a decision. Maybe I'll have to wait a year. Maybe I'll wait 2 years, or maybe I'll just stick with the 11 Pro that I've got that they charged $1,200 for just last year, and now it's worth $500. Right? Unlimited wants and desires, but limited resources. All right. So let's briefly talk about what a resource is. By definition, a resource is an item that you own or possess that can be used to acquire something that you don't own or possess. A resource is an item that you own or possess that you use to acquire something that you don't own or possess. Somebody give me a hand as to what that might mean. Something that you own or possess and that you use to get something that you don't own. Money. That's usually the first one that comes up, right? Because how do you use money to get something you don't own or possess? Yeah, you purchase it, you buy it, right? You spend the money, you exchange it for something that you want or desire. What else could be considered a resource?
Trading cars, they're different. They're like a dealership, I guess. They don't do any money exchange.
Okay, all right, yeah, okay. So even further, okay, Frederick, right?
Yep.
Okay, Mr. Frederick said that a car could be a resource, right? Because you could take it to the dealership and trade it for something else. Well, I would take that even a step further. Why would you buy a car in the first place?
To fill a need for transportation.
Okay, for transportation. And what did you anybody use the car in the last week? Name some stuff that you used the car for.
To get necessities.
Yeah, to get necessities. Okay, so in that instance, you use your car to go get groceries, right? You use that resource to get something you didn't own or possess. What else? Go to work. And why did you go to work? To make money because you needed stuff, right? Another example of a resource. What else would be an example of a resource? Give me another. Y'all have a lot of resources just sitting around you. Like just look around.
Use technology as a resource for
Yeah.
information.
Yeah. Information. It's knowledge you might not know. You pull up your laptop, you use Google. Is Google a resource? All right, so we're surrounded by resources, right? Here's an example of okay, a hammer or a drill. Okay. Is a hammer or a drill a resource? Yeah. I can build a house, I can build a dog house, I could build a chair. Chairs resources. Yeah, to some degree, a chair is a resource. I can sit there and I can be productive. I don't have to worry about standing and writing. I can sit down, I can spread my stuff out, and I can write. Okay, these are all different types of resources. An item you own or possess that can use to be used to acquire something that you don't own or possess. Okay, now let's briefly look at what economics is. Economics studies how people use their scarce resources. Economics studies how people use their scarce resources, how they use them to satisfy their unlimited wants and desires. Now, y'all seem like a pretty sharp class. Um, would you say that this right here, how people use their scarce resources, has a big impact on people's lives? how they use their scarce resources?
Absolutely.
Can it be the difference between being like extremely wealthy and extremely poor? Would you say that that'd be something good to study, how people use their resources to determine how well off they are? Well, that's what economics does. If you think about um, primary example with Corona, okay, and unemployment benefits. Anybody familiar with the unemployment benefits that were being issued? All right. Somebody tell me a little bit about unemployment benefit. How does that work?
If you're unemployed due to the corona, they pay you weekly.
Yeah, right. Okay. So essentially free money, right? So if you're not working, we'll give you money because there was an impact to your life and we want to help you, right? And at one point, how much was the economic stimulus for unemployment? Does anybody know? Yeah, it was like 1,200 what, like a week or something like that? Yeah, 600 a week. Did everybody use their unemployment benefits the same? Anybody aware of how some people use their benefits?
Well, my mom, she just got food.
Yeah,
Uh,
food. Food's important,
I
right?
know that cousin of mine bought a really expensive camera with it.
Okay, camera. So food's an essential item. A camera, maybe not so much, but yeah, it could be a want or desire. But some might argue you might even be able to turn that into some sort of a profit, right? So, and then some people went out and bought toys, boats, ATVs. I mean, you could buy anything with it. It's free money. The point I'm getting at here is that's just a basic example of how people can use their resources in different ways. Like if they had given enough money, maybe I would have went out and bought a Maserati because it was free money, right? Well, of course, economics is going to study how you use your scarce resources, and we can agree that money is scarce, right? Okay, and that our desires are unlimited. So even after we get that Maserati, maybe we want something different. Next year, it's a little bit old. I want something different. Okay, so I'm just setting the stage here for in economics. As you study how people use their scarce resources, you start to see differences in how people are able to acquire things. Okay, and we'll get a little bit more into that later. All right, scarcity. This is probably where we'll drop off at. Scarcity. The last thing I want you to know here is when the amount people desire exceeds the amount available. When the amount people desire exceeds the amount available. All right, so if you haven't finished that yet, it's okay. I'm gonna come back to it. Quick video for pause.